All right, what's up, guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, guys, we're going to be putting together a tier list. Okay, so this should be a lot of fun. All right, so let's hop straight into this because today will not be a standard format video. Excuse me, it will not be the VV Lab into the topic of the day. We're going to be super focused on putting together an accurate tier list. So we got our work cut out for us today. Okay, guys. Now we do have some other stuff to go over. First things first, we will talk about some announcements on some of the sets coming out, guys. OP09 is right around the corner for us in the West, and OP10 is right around the corner for the East. So we're going to talk about that as well before we get into the tier list. That's what we'll do first. Then, like I said, we'll head over to the tier list. We'll do that second, and that will be broken down into three pieces. First, it will be OP08, OP08.5, really, going into OP09, and then we'll make some predictions on OP10. All right, so that should be a lot of fun. And then we will wrap it up at the end with a, we got to have at least some gameplay in each video, right? So we'll wrap it up with a game of green, blue Zonji versus purple Luffy. And I'm running a Zonji list that is film-based. So that should be a lot of fun. I really want to show you guys this list I've been cooking up. Okay, and we'll wrap it up in that way. I'll show the deck list off and all that good stuff. Excuse me. So, you know what you're getting into. I'll have everything time-stamped down in the general description, and I'll have all relevant deck lists and links down in the comment section below. Okay? All right, let's do this, guys. Let's get into it. So first things first, like I said, we do have to talk about, excuse me, guys. We do have to talk about some releases coming up very soon here. Let me shrink my head down a little bit. There we go. Guys, look at this. I'm recording this on November 19th. This, guys, December 2024, we are getting OP09 in the West. It does not have an exact date just yet on the website, but I would just plan for somewhere in the middle of December this is coming out. So we're about a month away. We're about a month away from OP09 in the West. And guys, if you're a new player looking to get into the game, if you're an old player looking to return to the game, or if you're a player who's been getting a little bit burned out, guys, this is not a set you're going to want to miss. This is this set is going to be absolutely stacked with awesome cards. Okay, number one, we're getting the Blackbeard leader. Shanks, we're getting a red leader for Shanks. That's let's just say it seems a lot better than the purple one we got a long time ago, right? So we're getting a really strong competitive version of Shanks. Buggy, Luffy, Lim, Nico, Robin, all of those that I just said are going to be leaders in OP09. Guys, this looks like it's going to be absolutely incredible. Excuse me. So you're not going to want to miss that, and especially if you are a new player, guys. Look what just came out. I mean, about 2 weeks ago, or excuse me, it might have been like 3 or 4 weeks ago at this point. All the new starter decks, and these are actually legitimate decks, guys, especially the Doflamingo and the blue Doflamingo deck, ST17, and the purple Luffy deck, ST18. They are legitimate decks, guys. They are actually very, very strong. Okay, then, if you think that's coming out soon, guys, look at this, guys. Like, okay, remember, this was we were talking about for OP09 in the West. In the East, look at this. OP10 is coming out in 11 days at the time we're recording this video. So literally a week and a half away, we're going to start seeing results for OP10 in the East. I cannot wait, guys. I know some people don't really care for that. I know some people don't really like the seeing these cards come out like 4 months before we get to play with them. But remember, guys, we do have this incredible luxury of having the sim available for us, and those guys over with Batsu, the little team he has that put the sim together, they always hook us up, guys, with the new cards. So even though it is a ways away before we can play with the physical copies, I bet it's right around the corner. Well, whenever they can get caught up, no rush to those guys. They do such an incredible job who put the sim together. Like I said, they always hook us up way before we get the cards where we can actually start playing with those, much sooner rather than later. Okay, so we'll keep an eye out on this. This should be, I can't wait to see the results come in for this. Excuse me. Now that that's all done, said and done, oh, and one more thing I do want to mention before we move on. This is on the actual, the original One Piece website, so it's all in Japanese. A lot of times, like what you guys just saw in the previous one, this is the English version, this is the Eastern English version, and this is the original version of the website. So that's why it's all in Japanese. And as soon as they update the OP10 cards, I'll start putting together the previews and the spoilers for the new cards coming out. I've already done this for OP09. I'll try to remember to link those in the comment section below for those who are trying to get caught up and to see what else is coming out in OP09. Now, let's go ahead and move on. It is time to put together a tier list, guys. This is one of my favorite things to do, one of my favorite things to talk about. Okay, so first things first, let me just explain this tier system on the left. I have some words here. You know, I say, you know, top tier is the very top one, of course. That's the decks that are winning the most. Competitive decks are those right under it, which have, you know, a pretty decent chance to win, but maybe they're just not as represented as much, or they're just a little bit, maybe they have too many bad matchups of the decks that are in the top tier or something like that. The middle tier is, I have it as, listed as like potential. There's some potential here, but they still need work. Right under that is needs help, like it's lacking some support. It needs some support to go to move up. And then the bottom one is just these decks are struggling. Someone's going to have to cook up something special with these. But don't take any of this into too much, like, don't get caught up on how this is worded here. This is just meant to show, like, hey, here's the top decks, here's what's right under that, and then right under that, and then at the very bottom. Excuse me. So don't get caught up too much in what it says. All right, let me go ahead and adjust my camera a little bit, and we'll dive straight into this. Okay, so guys, I'm going to go straight from left to right. We're going to go straight down, okay, guys? Here we go. So first up is Black Yellow Luffy. This deck is still winning. It is still absolutely doing incredible. There's no signs of it showing down anytime soon. Calgara, I think, needs work. It's like for a while there it was doing okay, where it was kind of in the bottom of the competitive zone, but I think it's actually starting to lag behind a little bit now. Eustace Kid, I think, has gone all the way down to needs help. It's lacking something. It struggles. And it also suffers from a problem where ultimately, why would you run a green 5-life Supernova leader if it's not going to be? Let me just try and find it real quick. See if I can find it on here. I'm looking for Bonnie. It has like the weird... I have all the alt arts on here. I know some people don't like that, but that's just how I saved them. Anyway, I can't even find it. That's how hard it is to find, guys, with this, because it's like, oh, here it is. So it's like, why would you run Bonnie over, or excuse me, why would you run Eustace Kid over Bonnie? And speaking of which, I think Bonnie is the top tier. I think it's way up there at the very top, and we'll look at some things afterwards. So why would you run Eustace Kid when you can just run Bonnie? Unfortunately, that is just kind of how things go when it comes to TCGs, when you have certain cards that share colors. Blurple Crocodile, I think, is right in line with Eustace Kid. It is a great 7 Warlords leader that has access to life gain, and you can search up the life gain with cards like Sengoku, searching at the 8 cost purple, you know, Crocodile. Well, I don't know. Did I say Blurple Croc? I don't know if I messed that up or not now, guys. I'm starting to second guess myself. Anyway, Blurple Croc, I think this is actually right in the same place as Eustace Kid, where it has potential. But it's like, why would I run this over another leader, which is going to go straight to the top tier right here, excuse me, with Doflamingo? Why would I run this card when Doflamingo already exists? And it's unfortunate when that stuff happens, but it is what it is, guys. It just happens that way. Okay, next up is Ace. I think this is very close to, probably at the very top, the tippity top of the needs work, has potential category. I don't think it's quite in the competitive zone just yet. Not to say it can't sneak wins at locals and things like that. And who knows, with a really good pilot and good matchups, it probably could win something even bigger than that. But we're trying to be more, I'm trying to be as fair as I can with these rankings, guys, and as accurate as I can be. I think Carrot is right in this needs work area as well. And so is Purple Kaido. They're very close. This one might actually be very close to the top of needs work. And I will adjust these as time goes on, guys. As I see where all the leaders line up, we'll make some adjustments on the fly. Hody Jones, I think, has potential, but does still need work. And then we have Crocodile. I have this even under the needs help, or excuse me, all the way at the end of needs help right now. Because this, I would actually rather run Blurple Croc over the blue Croc. That's just me, because I have access to life gain in this deck, and access to ramp, and yeah, and it'll come my way because it's a broke works. Magellan struggles. Someone's gonna have to figure this one out. Okay, Arlong. So now this is I'm gonna have to put this at the very top of has potential, and I even want to put it in the competitive area. Now remember, guys, first we're going over OP08.5, so like right now in the West. Okay. Lucci, this is just under needs help. There's no reason to run this Lucci when the other Lucci already exists. And that's what I'm looking for right now, guys. Bear with me just a second. Here it is. So why would you run this Lucci when you have access to this one? Excuse me. Okay. Iceberg, I'm sorry, but this does. I know some people would prefer it to be like in one of these needs work or needs help. And it does. I'll at least put it at the end of needs help, because I have messed with this deck before, and I think it has at least some potential, but it's still like way down near the bottom for me personally. Black Yellow Linlin needs help. And this was one of my absolute favorite decks, guys, but it has fallen so far behind as of lately that it's just rough. Chopper, I have it down here. I could I could put it right here. We'll have to see. This might change over time, but I'm going to leave it down here for now. Eustace Kid, same here. I'm going to put this at the top of needs help because remember, we're not in OP09 yet. This one should go up when we get to OP09. Katakuri, absolutely competitive and can win. Finally, we get a card in this area. And look at this, right after it, Gecko. I think these are both competitive enough decks where they can still sneak wins, slip some wins in at a very high level. Okay, Dragon, unfortunately, he needs work. He's just not as good as this next one. Let me bring up Red Yellow Bello Betty. This is competitive and can win. Bello Betty is absolutely explosive and it can win. Dragon is right here as well, right under it. It does not have access to the yellow, and it can't even use its own triggers, its own Revo triggers. I don't know why they built it like that. That's not up for us to decide, I guess. Blurple Kaido. This is way down under the needs help and lacking area, and it kind of also, it's like, why would I run... What is it from blue that I need to run that will help put this deck over like Purple Kaido, right? That's kind of where I'm stuck with that one. King, I think, needs work, has potential though. I'll put him right next to the other Kaido. I do think there's something to be said here. I do think that King is decent, but it needs quite a bit of work. And maybe someone needs to figure it out more too. I don't know. Okay, next up is Doflamingo. This one definitely has potential, but I think it's right under the competitive category. Because it's like this Doflamingo does very well into the green and purple Dofi does pretty good into blue Dofi with the stage. But I think blue Dofi actually still is able to beat Dofi even with that like built-in advantage. I don't know. You guys tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. But I do think it has potential, and I think it will get quite a bit in OP10. So we will try to keep our eyes on Dofi as the game goes on. Ivankov struggles. Someone's got to cook something up here. I think Ace has, I think it needs work, but it has potential. I'm going to put it kind of towards the end of that category. Enel is competitive. Arlong needs, Kuro needs help. Kuro absolutely needs help right now. Buggy, wait a minute. This was supposed to be down with the OP10 cards. Oh, I had actually put Pudding there instead. Okay, so now, let's go to Pudding instead. We're going to cover the OP09 cards once, at the end. So Pudding, I think, it's actually pretty competitive. It might need a little bit of extra work, but I'm going to have this at the end of competitive. I've seen some people do work with this deck. Maybe not. Like I said, it might need to go under needs work, but we'll keep an eye on that as we fill out the list. Okay, Isho struggles. I'll have it under lacking because there is something there, but it does need some help for sure. All right, so this one needs work but has potential. I would have this just under Katakuri, the yellow Lin, but I have it above the black-yellow Lin for once. I think I always have it the other way around where I have black-yellow Lin above it. But now, guys, with all these new trigger cards coming out and stuff and all that support, I personally, and I absolutely hate saying this, but I would rather run yellow Lin right now over black-yellow Lin. I know. People are probably yelling at me right now through their screens. I understand. I feel it. But this card needs support, guys. My black-yellow Lin needs support. Black-yellow Kairos, absolutely not, guys. This leader has a lot of potential being black and yellow, but it struggles big time. It doesn't just need help. It needs a lot of help. So I have that under here. I'll put it at least at the very top of struggles. Okay, Red-Green Law. Competitive. It just always is. This leader effect, I remember when it first came out, guys, when this leader effect first came out, I thought it was broken. And I'm not saying that to complain. I'm just saying I thought this leader effect was so strong, I literally couldn't believe it. Rebecca, I'm going to have it under needs help, but we're going to, as OP09 and OP10 comes out, we're going to talk more about this leader. It'll definitely be able to move. Purple Yellow Croc, guys, this is at the very top of needs work, has potential. I think this leader is just right around the corner from being absolutely competitive. I don't know what it needs, but it's so close to being competitive. In fact, I think this leader can frequently sneak wins at locals. Red Black Garp has potential. We'll put it at the very bottom of potential right now. Boa, this falls under the same category for me personally as Dofi. Why run Boa when you can run Dofi? Blue Dofi, that is, of course, but they're still the diehards. And hey, Boa, I think, actually won one of the first... didn't Boa win one of the very first tournaments in OP09 in the West? I could be wrong. I think it beat a Nami in the finals. So it definitely can work. It definitely can, do things. But I'm going to put it in competitive. It definitely can win, but I don't have it quite in the top tier just yet. Kinemon needs help, and it's lacking something. It actually has potential, but it just needs help. Hannibal, goodness gracious. We're going to have to put in the struggles category. Foxy is going to be in the struggles category. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I know all the Foxy players are like freaking out right now, spitting their drinks out and stuff. I'm just kidding. But no, this is actually at the very end of competitive because of how good its matchup is into Dofi and Black-Yellow Luffy. It's actually at the end of competitive, but I'm going to keep it right here in the needs potential category for now. Okay, because I think once we get into the OP09 stuff, I think it might be a little bit better. Because it can also start locking down, you know, what's it called? You know, just any leader attack. Okay. Odin, struggles. At the bottom of struggles right now, this card. Let me put his buddy King down here with him. Okay, next up we got Red Luffy. It just, I don't know if there's any reason to run the card anymore, right? I just don't know if there's any reason to run some of these older leaders unless they get some more support, like very, very specific support. Purple Shanks all the way down here. Red Green Luffy, it needs help. It's lacking. But people have, I'm going to put it right here for now. I think a lot of the cards I do are going to be right, like, I think most of the cards I put in here are going to be right in the middle of the field, which is not a bad thing, right? That means, like, okay, cool. So there's a lot of decks that are, like, right on the verge of being competitive if they could just get a little bit of support. And, guys, there's a red-green, there's a list floating around for red-green that is animal. Or it's like the Zero-style build with all the, you know, with the chopper and everything. And it's actually pretty decent. That list going around is actually pretty good. Blue, okay, we're going to put Blue Luffy. This is a promo card. I'm putting it down in the struggles category. Purple Luffy is absolutely top tier right now, and it will be going into OP09. Red Purple Luffy, very soon will be moving up into the top tier category, I think. Whitebeard, I'm just going to put him in the needs work. He's always been kind of middle of the field. ST14 Luffy is competitive. I think it's at the very bottom end of competitive right now. Red Purple Uda has potential, but I'm going to put it in the lacking category for now until we get to the OP09 stuff. Nami, competitive, top tier, literally top tier. Magellan has more potential than the King, the Purple King leader does, but it's still way down here in the needs help category. Reiju, competitive. Perona, competitive. Red Blue Marco, competitive, and I think is doing very well right now. Rosinante has potential, but honestly, it's just lacking something. I don't know what Rosinante is lacking. I'll put it near the top of lacking, but it really is just missing something, guys. I don't know how else to say it. Red Zonji has potential, and the way it can just blitz and stuff, I think it's very close to being competitive. Red Yellow Sabo, my absolute favorite deck. For those who do not follow my channel enough, this is my go-to. Red Yellow Sabo is my absolute favorite deck. And I honestly would put this card in the competitive can win category. But some people will probably say I'm biased. I probably will just leave it there for now, to be honest. Okay, Smoker. This is definitely going in the competitive can win category. Uda as well. Blue Yellow Queen needs work, has potential. We'll put it near the top of that list too. Sakazuki, the ST06 Sakazuki, struggles. Red Uda, promo Uda, struggles. Red Black Sabo is competitive and can win, for sure. Red Black Sabo is competitive and can win. Zoro, this is up in, let me, I gotta move up twice now, there we go. That goes in the competitive and can win category as well. I think that deck is still kind of sneaking wins at locals for sure, and I think it's got some potential. Green Blue Zonji, or Green Blue Sanji, excuse me, not Zonji. Green Blue Sanji. It needs support big time. Green Yellow Yamato, I think, is in the competitive can win category still. It might be at the very top of needs work. It's starting to kind of fall behind, I feel like, but I do want to keep it in the competitive can win category. Okay, this is. Hang on, where was that Luffy? Did I do it again, guys? I know someone's probably yelling at me right now. Yeah, I did it with the Luffy again. I did the wrong Luffy again. Okay, this one goes all the way down under needs help and is lacking, maybe even under struggles. This is ST14 Luffy. I do it every time. I even did it for a thumbnail, guys. I do apologize. Let me adjust my camera. There we go. So ST14 was the Luffy that I meant to put in the competitive can win area. And then Green Blue Zonji needs work, has potential, very top of its class there. Yamato struggles. Zephyr struggles. Red Blue Nefeltari Vivi actually has some potential. Red Green Odin I actually think has potential. Vegapunk, it can win. We know it can, guys. We're seeing what's going on. Like, Vegapunk can absolutely win right now. Okay, now we're going to get to some cards that are no longer in the format or going into OP09 and OP10. So, Blue-Black Sakazuki. Let's talk about this. Let's have a little bit of fun with Sakazuki right now. I think if it entered into the format right now, I think it would actually be doing pretty well. I think it would be, and I don't think it'd be broken anymore. I actually wish they would introduce Sakazuki back to the game. I know a lot of people would not like that. I understand, but I actually don't think this leader was ever too far gone where it was like, no, we just can't play with it. But either way, I'm going to leave those off the list so it's not confusing for any new players who might be looking at the list. I don't want them to be like, oh, I can just play that leader when it's actually banned. Same thing with Red Purple Law. The promos are absolute bottom tier, just, dog water tier, unfortunately. Okay, now, so here's the list for OP08.5. Let me scroll down just a little bit. And if you look at everything and take everything into consideration, black, yellow, green, blue, black, purple, blue. That's really not bad, guys. Like, I mean, that's a full color spread. The only color that is not represented in the absolute top tier currently is red. At least in my opinion, I think it's red. And I think Bello Betty, Red Yellow Sabo, Red Purple Luffy, Zero, and Red Black Sabo, those will satisfy any of your needs as a red player while still being able to be pretty competitive. Maybe not the absolute top tier, like I show here, but I think they're still at least like in the tier right under that. Like if top tier is tier 1, then this is probably tier 1.5 is what I consider competitive. So tier 1, tier 1.5, and then we get into the 2, 3, and just like in the negatives. I don't know. This just goes. these cards need so much work. So with that in mind, this is basically what I think OP08.5 is. You have, like I said, you have your Luffy, your Bonnie, your Dofi, your Lucci, your Purple Luffy, and your Nami. These are what you can expect to win the most. I'm not going to put those in any specific order. I don't know. Maybe I should. It might be fun to kind of mess with it. I think Nami's at the very end of this, and it's very matchup dependent. I think Dofi goes to the front of the line. I think Lucci goes to the front. Purple Luffy. So actually probably something close to this. I would say, and maybe some people would say Black Yellow Luffy is below Lucci, or the other way around. I don't know. It's hard to say. But this is roughly how I would say the top 6 decks in the game are. And then right under those. So even though I have Katakuri under that, I mean, Katakuri can take games off almost anyone, right? If it gets the right pull, if it gets the right triggers. And it depends on the pilots, of course, too. But Katakuri, Gecko, Bello Betty, Enel. I'll put Pudding at the bottom of this list next to Vegapunk because it kind of requires certain things to happen in order for those to kind of pop off. Same thing with Zoro. I'll put him at the very bottom. Green Yellow Yamato. Actually, I have to update it. Hang on. I'm going to push Red Yellow Sabo up, guys. I know people are going to get upset by this and they're going to think I'm being, funny or being biased. I'm really not. Because when I play Red Yellow Sabo, okay, I'm going to be able to take out any deck in the top tier, but some decks can definitely go like toe-to-toe, like 50-50 with Lucci. It depends on what list you're running. My mustache, guys. Is it like 25 minutes in? Yeah, almost 25 minutes in. The mustache starts going crazy. So, but anyway. So here we go. I think, I do think Red Yellow Sabo can beat every single deck above it at this point. And any deck under it. Red Yellow Sabo can beat any deck under it at this point we're at right here. But the decks that it would struggle against is actually Katakuri and Enel. And I honestly feel like these two decks in particular, Enel and Katakuri, I think they are gatekeepers that kind of keep Red Yellow Sabo out of this top conversation. And I know some people are going to think I'm absolutely crazy for that. Guys, I've just seen it. I've seen the results. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, I love my matchup into Doflamingo. Purple Luffy's rough. I will say Purple Luffy's a rough match. It might be slightly favored for them. Lucci feels like a 50-50 for me. Nami feels like at least a 50-50. I think more maybe 60-40 for us, especially with the version I've been running lately with the Revo Goa hybrid. It just kind of runs. I mean, you drop double Karasu. What are they supposed to do? And of course, it can, Red Yellow Sabo and Black Yellow Luffy. That's a great matchup, at least 50-50, maybe slightly favored for Red Yellow Sabo. But yeah, I have to at least break down the Red Yellow Sabo, guys, because that is the main focus of this channel most times, more often than not. So let me go ahead and adjust this tier real quick. I do think Katakuri's at the top of this tier with Enel right behind it, and then maybe Bello Betty, then probably Green Uda, and then Gecko, Red Yellow Sabo, Law. I'll put Boa in front of Law. I'm actually going to move Law down a little bit. Marco's up there, man. He's doing good things. Reiju, Perona. Now, the rest of this is pretty much in good order. Okay, I will move ST14 Luffy up a little bit. We're going to move him right above Uda, right around this category here. And again, that's another matchup. Like as Red Yellow Sabo, we can almost always deal with like ST14 Luffy versus Lucci. Like we actually prefer the Luffy matchup over Lucci, I think, most of the times. Red Black Sabo, I'll move him. Actually, I'm going to keep him right there. I think he's in the perfect spot, and then everything else, yeah. So this is pretty much where I have OP08.5 for Tier 1 and Tier 1.5. And then going down, I'm not going to really worry too much about this, guys. I just don't think it's worth talking about too much yet. Now, we're going to transition into OP09. First, I'm going to add the leaders, and we'll go from there. Okay, I'm just going to put these leaders out of here, just so they're not taking up space on my little stuff down here, so we can get them out of the way. So, Shanks. Shanks is absolutely competitive. Let's go ahead and move him up here, and he is probably in the conversation of top tier. I'll move everything around in just a second. In fact, I'm kind of tempted to just remove these once I get everything on here. I might just remove the other stuff. We'll see. So Shanks, I think, is absolutely at the very top end of competitive and can win. Okay, Lim needs help, but has a lot of potential. Let me try to move it in here. Has a lot of potential. Purple Black Luffy, same thing as Lim, where it has potential, but I think people are still trying to figure that deck out. Same thing with Buggy. Buggy has potential, but they're still trying to figure it out. I'm going to put Nico Robin in the same thing, needs work. But Blackbeard, he goes up to the top. He is absolutely one of the most competitive decks now. I think it's, I don't mean to spoil guys, spoiler warning, but Blackbeard is definitely starting to take wins over in the East. Okay, so this is roughly where I have it. We're going to talk about OP10 in a minute, but let's kind of break this down now. Let's head over to like OP08. Let's go ahead and talk about the West real quick. We're on eggmanevents.com. I'll try to link this down in the comment section below if I remember. But notice this, guys. When you look at the top 32 leaders, you have the black and yellow Luffy, green Bonnie, blue Dofi, yellow Enel. I might need to move Enel up a little bit. Rob Lucci, and then ST14 Luffy. Then when you look at the... well, actually, yeah, let's not look at the entire leader breakdown. We'll go over to this one. Okay, so in this one we have ST13, so black, yellow Luffy, Rob Lucci, blue Dofi, Jory Bonnie green, red, blue Marco, Nami is blue, right? Enel's yellow, Katakuri is yellow. So again, if you notice, other than the Marco, red is the only color that's really missing a little bit from the equation in OP08.5. But it is still showing up in the form of Marco. Now let's look at one more list just to get one more idea. And again, top 16, blue Dofi, black, yellow, black, blue, purple, and then Jory Bonnie, that's green, and then Enel yellow. So you guys see it's a pretty healthy mix at the top, guys. Now I would say based on that, and let's go over to OP08.5 for the West, right? This is, yeah, English 08. So Nami, Dofi, Luffy, Lucci, purple Luffy. I'm just kind of skipping around, guys. Bonnie, Zoro, like I was saying, it's kind of showing up as well. Vegapunk popped up and did really well here. What else? Nami, we already talked about that. Red, blue Marco. So I think overall, when you look at this and you compare it to what we've seen, and try to like block out the Shanks and the Blackbeard for now, because we're going to transition into the OP09 meta in just a second. I think everything's pretty much exactly where it needs to be, right? I think it's all pretty much exactly where it needs to be, especially considering the top two, like the tier 1 and tier 1.5 stuff. I think it's all pretty accurate, especially the top tier in the very, very top part of the competitive area. Okay, so now going into OP09, let's go ahead and check out OP09 and see how they did, because that format's almost completely done, guys. We're just going to take a quick glance over it. This is on OnePieceTopDecks.com. We're seeing purple Luffy, Blackbeard, Dofi. Remember what I was saying in the beginning, guys? How I think I mentioned this in the beginning of the video. If you're trying to get into the game, those starter decks for purple Luffy and blue Dofi, they're doing well in OP08.5 and OP09. So it's such a great entry point into the game if you're thinking about getting into One Piece. So then we have black, yellow Luffy still popping up. Nami, Perona in a 44-player tournament, very nice. Gecko Moria still doing things. Katakuri, Lucci, Vegapunk, Shanks, Foxy. Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, Foxy popping up there. OP09 Luffy, the purple-black one, Boa, Shanks. I mean, you guys see it, guys. Buggy. There's quite a bit of stuff going on right now in the East right now. They're still trying to figure out the format, I think. Nico, Robin even popped up on this store battle, and more Shanks and more Lucci and Luffy and all that good stuff. And Red Purple Luffy popping up, going first place in a Bandai Maxsoft 240 player tournament, going 10-2, first place with Red Purple Luffy. So now let's go ahead and adjust the list. Ultimately, I don't think much changes down here except a few things. I do think that Red Purple Kid hops up into the needs work but has potential category. It's almost in the competitive zone after some cards he gets in OP09. Same thing with Red Purple Uda. I think it just gets it starts to sneak its way into that conversation. And who knows, I think Purple Black Luffy we might be able to put at the bottom of competitive and can win. And the same thing with Buggy. Like they're there. They're really close, especially once Buggy gets the promo card that helps it deal with the matchup against Dofi. But it's at the very end of that category, if it really even is in the category at all, of competitive can win. It snuck a few wins on a smaller format, I believe. Let me see something. Let's just type in Buggy into the deck profile. Okay, right here. Yeah, so, I mean, it did 5-0 at a flagship. It's done some good stuff. It's had some first place here and there, but it really is kind of under the radar still. I think people are still trying to figure that out or waiting for more support. Okay, so what else? Shanks is up there, like I said, in the very top of the competitive can-win category, but I still think some of these other decks up here are just above it. Maybe that's just me. Let's just kind of look at all of them real quick. Okay, so let's bring up Shanks. Let me see how he did, and then we'll make some adjustments from there. So Shanks... Okay, that's quite a bit. That's quite a bit, guys. I'm not going to lie. So 39 entries for Shanks, right? Let's, I'm not going to bust out the notepad. I was going to bring the notepad over. We'll just try to remember. So 39 for Shanks. Now let's bring up, so Dofi we know is doing well. That has 45 entries. Now let's look up Purple Luffy. That is OP05 Luffy. That one has 28. So actually it's doing better than Purple Luffy, at least according to some of the numbers. So what else do we have? Black Yellow Luffy, that's ST13 Luffy. 22. Okay, so we will have to adjust that ever so slightly, I think, just based on the numbers, based on the raw data. What were some of the other ones? We'll look up Lucci. I want to look up Lucci, Bonnie, and Nami. Lucci, Bonnie, and Nami. Okay, Lucci is OP07. Lucci's at 27. Bonnie is also OP07. OP07 had some good leaders, guys, and then Nami, OP03, right? Well, Nami's not played as much, but it's still up there in the top conversation. I don't think many people would disagree with that. Okay, so let's go back to the list here. I think we will move Shanks up into this category, and Enel might be up there as well. Let me look at one more thing, guys. I do want to check Enel real quick. 12 listings is not bad. Now, one thing I will say about the Shanks numbers, let's just see how well it did in the actual tournaments themselves. Like, because I'm sure they had a lot of Shanks lists on here. Well, I don't know. A lot of these are first-place flagships. Yeah, so we'll keep him there. We'll definitely keep him there. Let me see how we're doing on time real quick. Okay, yeah, I think we're doing good on time. All right, so I'm going to leave this pretty much where it's at from here, you know, from where this is. I'll even move an L slightly above Katakuri. And I have the top tier in this way because some people might say that one deck is better than the other up here, but I do think that all of those top tier decks that we have listed here, I do think every one of these can actually like win a tournament. I think any of these decks up here can absolutely win at the highest level. And Nell being at the very top of the competitive, so it might be able to sneak wins at the highest level as well, and the same thing with any of these. Now, oh, real quick, there were some more movements we had to make, I think. I think there was like one or two. I'm going to push Vegapunk up a little bit once we get into the OP09 range. We'll push it up right around here. But that's, I don't know, that's about it. I won't move the list much, guys. I don't think OP09 moves the needle all that much. I think we just get some really strong leaders in Shanks and Blackbeard. And then we still have the really strong leaders from, you know, with Lucci, Bonnie, Dofi, and Purple Luffy. And then, of course, ST13 Luffy as well. Nami is always going to be the rogue deck that can kind of just, if you're not prepared for it and you don't know how to play against it, it'll just kind of beat anyone because it's an alternate win, like a very technical off-meta style control deck. It's not off-meta, but you know what I mean? It's like a rogue deck you don't expect sometimes and you might not prepare for. But other than that, guys, I think this list is pretty much where I want it. You guys tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. Now, we're going to make some predictions on OP10. Before we go into that, we are going to look at each leader. So, spoiler warning, guys. We got some spoilers coming up. This is from OP10, and I am using the translations from the sim. So if the sim is off on a few words here and there, which can happen from time to time, you just got to bear with them. Excuse me. So we're going to go through all 6 of the new leaders from OP10, and then we're going to talk about where I think they're going to land in the format. With as far as their where they place. Pure predictions, guys. We have no results yet from the East. So first up is Caesar Clown. This is a 5,000 power red-blue leader. Oh, one more thing I want to say before we fully dive into this. I will still be going over each one of these leaders in the future when they do the full set release for OP10 on the website, so I can go through it in a much better, more accurate way then, especially once I know what to expect from the whole set and things like that. So this will not take the place of me going over the leaders when OP10 does get fully spoiled. Okay, now 5,000 power, 4 life, red-blue leader, Caesar Clown. He is a scientist, punk hazard type leader. He has Dawn ×2 when attacking. Very nice. To swing for 7,000. You may return one of your punk hazard type characters with a cost of 2 or more to the owner's hand and KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 4,000 power or less. Okay. Excuse me. Let me go make my camera a little bit bigger. So I think this leader will largely depend on what support comes out. And of course, that's almost always the case. But I don't see this leader just taking off until I can see what other support it gets. With it being red-blue, with it being a 4-life leader, I already have it hurting there where it doesn't actually have any way to gain life in red-blue yet, not that I'm aware of. The swinging for 7, bouncing back one of your characters to pop one of your opponent's characters, that is very much a law style of effect where it's like, okay, I'm going to pop your dude and then I'm going to play out a guy, but it doesn't quite do it. It doesn't play out a guy. It pulls your guy back to pop one of their guys. So I do think it will have potential, and I do think it will be very strong when it comes to removal, but will it be able to keep up with some of the other decks in the format? We're going to have to see. We're going to have to find out. Okay, let's keep going. Next up is Eustace Kid. This leader, very interesting, guys. I have already read this, yellow being my primary color in the game right now. 5,000 power, 5 life, Supernova, Kid Pirates leader, Eustace Captain Kid. He has a end of your turn effect. You may turn the top card of your life cards face up. Set up to one of your 3 to 8 cost characters with the Supernova type as active, and that character gains blocker until the end of your opponent's next turn. So you see what's going on there, guys? Excuse me. This is a 5,000 power, 5 life leader in yellow. Okay, so already, I'm going to tell you right now, this leader I feel like already has insane potential, but that end of turn effect might not seem very strong, but the fact that you can set one of your characters as active and turn them into a blocker is absolutely incredible, guys. I think this leader has a ton of potential, and we're going to talk about this one quite a bit. I think this one's probably going to be doing the best from OP10, at least from what we've seen so far, but again, I'll show you the tier list in just a second on that. We'll go back to that in a minute. Okay, green, yellow, Trafalgar Law. Another yellow leader. Okay, 5,000 power, 4 life, because it's green and yellow. Dawn ×1, activate main, once per turn. Oh, by the way, Heart Pirates, Supernova, and Dressrosa type. Very interesting, it has Dressrosa as well. So Dawn ×1, activate main, once per turn. If the total cost of your characters is 5 or more, you can return one of your characters to the hand, and then reveal the top card of your life. And if that card is a Supernova type character card, with a cost of 5 or less, you can play it. I do not think it will be very hard to get a total cost of 5 or more on the board. And then Dawn ×1, activate main, doing this effect. Excuse me. There's already some incredible Supernova cards that cost 5 or less in the game currently in the green card pool. And there's going to be quite a few good yellow ones coming out as well, I would imagine, from OP10. I've seen some of them, but who knows if they haven't even spoiled them all yet. So I think this leader will be very strong. It can cheat cards into play. It's that's always a good thing. And the fact that it has yellow involved in it. So it has green for a lot of the older Supernova support. Excuse me. And then it has yellow for life gain. I think this will be a very powerful leader. We'll have to see what happens. Okay, red-green Smoker. This is a red-green Punk Hazard Navy type character. 5,000 power, 4 life. On opponent's turn, your characters with the Navy or Punk Hazard trait gain plus 1,000 power. Okay, that's on your opponent's turn. Your Navy and Punk Hazard characters are plus 1,000. So that's already pretty decent. But the thing that's a little bit crazy about this is there aren't many red Navy cards or green Navy cards. There are some, but there's not many. We'll have to see how many are printed in OP10. Activate main once per turn. If your character, if you have a character with 7,000 power or more, set 2 Dawn cards as active. Okay, set 2 of your Dawn as active. That activate main is very strong. Okay, if you activate main once per turn, if you have a character with 7,000 power or more, you get to set 2 Dawn cards as active. So even if you played out, like say you're on turn 8, and you play out some big character that has, you know, more than 7,000 power, you're going to get you're going to get a 2 Dawn refund immediately on that, and be able to use that for a you know, an event or play out a blocker or whatever. Just really good stuff there. That's really powerful. I think this one might be pretty decent. We'll see. Okay, next up we have Sugar. 5,000 power, 4 life, Don Quixote Pirates character. Red Purple. Red Purple is the colors here. At the end of your turn, if you have a character with the Don Quixote Pirates type with a power of 6,000 or more, with a power of 6,000 power or more, it happens sometimes with the type, or with the you know, with some of the translations. But if a type with a power of 6,000 or more, set up to 1 of your Dawn as active. Okay, so that's going to help you play some, you know, some events on your opponent's turn, and then it also has on your opponent's turn, once per turn, when you activate an event, set up to 1 of your Dawn cards from your Dawn deck as active. And I think that's ramping a Dawn, right? So that seems very, very strong. A lot of potential there, a lot of potential. It seems like you'll have to build this pretty defensively. You'll have access to purple Doflamingo card or Don Quixote Pirates cards, and that will also probably help with green-purple Dofi. That will probably help that deck go to the next level, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that in a minute as well. Okay, one more leader. We saved the best for last year. I'm just kidding. It was just in order like this, the way I saved it. But 5,000 power, 4 life, Dressrosa, Straw Hat Crew, Usopp here, blue-black. Your cost 2 and greater Dressrosa type characters have +1 cost. So anything that costs 2 is immediately a 3, and then everything, you know, everything above that's going to be the +1 like it says. That's just incredible. And on your opponent's turn once per turn, this effect may be activated when 1 of your Dressrosa type characters are removed from the field by your opponent's effects, or are KO'd if you have 5 or less cards in your hand. Draw 1 card. I don't know why I read it like that, guys. I'm like this effect may be activated when 1 of your Dressrosa type characters are removed from the field by your opponent's effect, or are KO'd if you have 5 or less cards in your hand. Draw 1 card. Okay, so basically, if 1 of your characters gets removed, when 1 of your so if it's a Dressrosa type character and it gets removed from the field by your opponent's effect or is KO'd, you get to draw a card if you have 5 or less cards in hand. Very, very strong here. A lot of potential. And notice this is a blue-black leader with Dressrosa type. So now that we've gone over this, let's go back to the actual tier list. So immediately before I move these leaders into their spots where I think they'll be, I think all of a sudden Rebecca becomes competitive and can win in OP10. I'll just put it kind of in the middle of the, you know, in the middle of the pack here. But I think that all of a sudden, with some of these new Dressrosa cards, I do think that Rebecca becomes pretty decent and can win. Then there was the other one, the green-purple Dofi. Excuse me. Once green-purple Doflamingo gets access to the new purple cards that are potentially coming out for Sugar, for Doflamingo, or Don Quixote Pirates, I've seen some of them, guys, and I do think he starts working his way into the competitive can-win category. Some people might disagree with that, and that's fine. Another character, Arlong. Some of these new yellow Supernova trigger cards that cost 4 or less, I'm just gonna say wink wink, there's a card named Basil Hawkins, looks pretty good. Okay, there's others as well, I'm sure, but I think actually Arlong does fall under the very end of the competitive can win category with some of the new trigger support that's coming out in OP10. Okay, because that's where we're at now, right, guys? We've done OP08.5, we've done OP09, now we're on OP010 or OP10. I think Arlong will move up ever so slightly. What else? Oh, purple yellow Croc as well. Some people might think I'm crazy about that. Some people might think I'm insane. But guys, once you have access to Oh Come My Way and you have 2 actual on KO targets, and Kikanojo's already in the game, and then the new Basil Hawkins that can pop their life, I think purple yellow Crocodile will have a very, very strong life burn deck. We'll have to see what happens. Guys, sorry, I forgot to adjust my camera. There we go. Okay, fixed it. Keep an eye on purple yellow Croc, guys. That's all I'm saying. I'm pointing right at you. Keep an eye on purple yellow Croc, okay? Red yellow Sabo, I think, will also stay in this competitive area. We'll do some updates at the very end here. Now, red green Smoker. I think it is going to be in the needs work, top of the needs work category. I don't know how strong this will be because I don't think it has enough support from. I don't think it will have enough support as soon as it's released. right? Whereas like now let me just jump straight to Usopp. I think this goes straight to the competitive can-win category and maybe even into the top tier, because guess what? Blue-Black already has had an entire leader dedicated to Dressrosa. Okay, and there's tons of Straw Hat support all over the place. So I think this leader jumps straight to the front of the line of the competitive can-win category, and it might even start working its way into the top tier. Red Blue Caesar Clown, I'm sorry guys, I think it's going to need work, and I think it's probably going to fall somewhere around the same. I just don't think Punk Hazard will have enough red support that comes out in this set for it to make it into the competitive can-win category. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but it is. Here's the other thing that's going against it. These are 4-life leaders. Now, yes, I understand Usopp is also a 4-life leader. I 100% understand, but it's a little bit different because of the support it's getting, or the support it already has, you know, built in from previous sets. Sugar, I'm going to put it under the, I'm going to put it in the needs work has potential category because I just don't know. So I had to middle of the road these guys. I just don't know where they're going to go. I need to see way more on them. Now, I have been noticing a lot, and I do think that, so I do follow a lot of not streamers, but YouTube content creators from the East. And guys, Yellow, Eustace Kid might be a top tier deck. We'll have to see. It might fall under the competitive can-win category, but I actually think it's going to be closer to top tier. And then last but not least, Green Yellow, Trafalgar Law, I think will also be in the competitive can-win category for sure. That's just me, but I think it will fall under that category. Now, real quick, let me go through all of these and tell you how I think they're going to go in OP10 to see if they go up or down at all. Black Yellow Luffy, I don't see any. It's about to get even more Yellow Supernova support. So anything that is restricted to like a Supernova Pirate, if anything gets printed, guys, Black Yellow Luffy is a Supernova leader. He is a Straw Hat Supernova leader. So anything that Supernova support gets, he might be able to use in the deck. Lucci might drop down a little bit. In fact, I think we've already kind of seen some signs of Lucci going down a little bit. But I don't know. It's just a matter of time. We'll have to see what happens there. Doflamingo and Purple Luffy, I just think these are such strong mid-range tempo decks. I don't think they're going anywhere. Green Bonnie as well. When it comes to the green decks, this is just always going to be a contender because of what it does. It has such a good matchup into two like very solid decks like, you know, Black Yellow Luffy. I think it does struggle into Lucci, but I think it does completely fine into all of these top 3 decks. Maybe it struggles a little bit with Purple Luffy. We'll have to see. Okay, Nami, I think will always, again, I just think it's one of those decks that, like, if the format starts to slow down because of yellow decks, like Eustace Kid here, being able to block her up nonstop and gain life along the way, if the format slows down, then all of a sudden Nami becomes an absolute juggernaut. We'll have to see what happens there. I think Nami will be fine. Blackbeard and Shanks, I don't think they're going anywhere. I think Shanks will probably be the premier red deck for quite some time. I could be wrong about that, but any power reduction that comes along the way of like Punk Hazard, as long as it's not locked to Punk Hazard, Shanks will probably be able to use it to like just as much of an effect. But we'll see. They might lock it all. They might lock it all. I don't know. Excuse me. I do think Eustace Kid will probably like jump to the middle of the pack here as far as like top tier goes. I really think this leader's going to be pretty good, guys. I could be wrong. I've just been watching some of the stuff from the East, watching some of the content creators and YouTubers from the East. They've been proxying the cards up and just going at it, and it seems pretty promising. Like I said, Usopp and Law I already talked about. I think Enel's going to stay around this area. It does get some more trigger cards to add to the deck with some of the new yellow Supernova stuff, so it might actually go up a little bit. Katakuri, I think, will actually end up being very good. I'm going to move him up a little more because if Eustace Kid tries to run away with the format, all of a sudden, I think Katakuri becomes an absolute menace because he's already just a good deck in general. But then any time that a yellow leader pops up and has life gain, Katakuri goes, okay, I'll one-up you. I'll take your life, and I'll gain a life with Tinlin. So he'll always have that really strong matchup into yellow, and then the more yellow cards that get printed, well, yeah, they support the new leaders, but they'll typically be able to support Katakuri as well. So we'll have to see how that goes. Red, Yellow, Bello, Betty, I think if any deck is going to be able to just, like, rush something down, it's going to be Bello Betty. I don't think any deck is as fast as this. I just don't think it is. I could be wrong. We'll have to see. I think ST14 Luffy just falls off the earth here. I just think it just goes way down here. When you look at, let's go over to the East real quick. So these are just results from the East. And if you look for ST14 Luffy, he wasn't played at all. Unless, am I looking for the wrong thing? Let me just see real quick. Just going to blitz through these. Yeah, guys, I don't think... Oh, wait, ST1 Luffy? No, that's literally ST01 Luffy. I thought it might have been a typo because of where it was. Oh, I see, because O and then into S. Never mind. Okay, so ST10 Luffy, that is... oh, that's red purple Luffy, of course. And then ST13 black yellow Luffy. So yeah, guys, I think Luffy might just fall off the planet for a while here. And it's not that it's not a good deck. I just think it never really picked up in the East at all to begin with, to be fair. But we'll have to see if anyone still plays ST14 Luffy going forward. But I still think it's competitive and can win. I just think it's at the very end of competitive and can win. And everything else, guys, I'm not going to go over every single matchup. I just wanted to hit this top row and like and then the second. Actually, we'll just go over the competitive can win and we'll move on from there. So, green Uda. I actually think this is kind of similar to the blue Doflamingo deck and the purple Luffy deck. It's just a little bit weaker, it feels like. Not much. It's still in the competitive and can win category, but it's a little bit weaker. Same thing with Gecko Moria, where now it's like, okay, this is a very strong mid-range tempo style deck with lots of tricks it can do, lots of removal, but it falls under that unfortunate umbrella of why would I run this when I can run Lucci, right? I know they're not the same deck. They're totally different. They're different in so many ways, but it still falls under that category because of how, just running decks go. It's one of those situations. Red Yellow Saba, I think, goes up, guys. A lot of people are going to think I'm crazy. I'm doing it. Whether you like it or not, I'm pushing Red Yellow Saba up because I'm going to tell you right now, guys, from what I've seen from the OP10 reveals, some of these yellow cards, Red Yellow Sabo might shift into full-on control mode, and it's just going to trash life nonstop. It's going to trash opponent's life nonstop with a new 8-cost kid. Spoiler warning, guys, sorry. But cards like Basil Hawkins, the Nico Robin, 8-cost kid, guys, that's a 4-6-8 curve. So 4-cost Basil Hawkins, 6-cost Nico Robin, they trash a life card. 8-cost Eustace Kid, they trash a life card, and it's like I'm no longer even giving them their life. They're not even going to get triggers, and then anything that they start removing, or excuse me, anytime that I need to just get more cards from their life, I'll just push the card to the top of my life, and I'll just get the card back to my hand and pop life that way. It just seems really good. Who knows? I might be overselling that. I will be keeping an eye on that, as you guys know. Of course, that's what the main focus of this channel right now is Red Yellow Saba as far as like individual decks go. Red Purple Luffy, I think, is going to jump way up. We're going to push him way up to the top of the line. I'll actually put him above I'll put him right here. He's way up in the conversation now, I think. Boa, I don't think really moves much. I'm actually going to move her down a little bit. I'm sorry, guys. I know there's some diehard Boa fans out there, but I have to do it. I think Vega's good, but I think he does kind of fall off ever so slightly when Yellow's doing better in the format, because it kind of goes into the same category we were talking about, where it's like if Vega ever gets really strong, well, then all of a sudden Katakuri becomes like overpowered into it, right? Because you're filling out the board, you have triggers to go against their triggers, and you're just eating life. And going into OP09 with these new Supernova cards that are being printed, like Basil Hawkins and things like that, sure, KO my guy, because now you're going to lose a life from it, and then I'm going to drop a Nico Robin, you're going to lose a life, then I'm going to drop... Think about what Katakuri's potential curve could be. Guys, this is disgusting. I just thought about this. Imagine this curve. Turn 2, Basil... Going second as Katakuri. Turn 2, Basil Hawkins. I dare you to KO him, because you'll lose a life. Turn 3, Nico Robin, you're going to lose a life. Turn 4, the new Eustace Kid, you're going to lose a life. Turn 5, 10-cost Leyland, you're going to lose a life. And by the way, it's not me attacking you losing the life. It is an on-play effect. Your life's gone. You can't defend it or anything. So, like I said, if something ever happens where like Vegapunk does start getting stronger and stronger, I think all these other yellow decks will just be very easily keep it in line. We'll have to see, though. We'll have to see. I don't see Red Blue Marco going anywhere. That might be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you feel about it. I think this is just a very solid leader, and I think one of the biggest detriments, like something that is just going against this leader, is the fact that he's a 4-life leader. It's not his fault. That's just how Bandai chose to balance it. I feel like if he was a 5-life leader, this would be a top-tier leader. The effect is incredible. The card pool is incredible, but just not having that one life is a major, major deal, and we're about to go into a format where burn might become a real thing in One Piece for the first time ever, where it's like, no, I'm actually just going to pop all of your life cards. You're not going to draw them. You're not going to use them as a resource. So we'll have to see how that goes. Reiju is still very good, and it's actually getting some support in OP10. I'll actually move this card up ever so slightly. I'll move it around, you know, somewhere around here. Maybe yeah, I'll put it above. I'll even put it above Green Uda for now. Perona, same thing. I think Perona is going to be very solid still. It's just kind of, excuse me, I don't know, excuse me. I don't know what it is, guys, but if you look at all of the cards in the very top conversation here, they all just so happen to be 5 life leaders, with the only exception being black-yellow Luffy. And we all know this is not a this is not a 4 life leader. That's like a 7 or whatever life leader. It's like a 7, 8, 9 life leader. It just depends. Same thing with like a Nell, Katakuri, and then of course, whenever it comes to the multicolored leaders where they only have 4 or less life and they're not yellow where they can't gain life, it is very hard for them to stay relevant. It's very hard. So that's the problem with red blue Marco, green black Perona. And again, it's not to say they can't win. They actually still can win games. It's just when you start getting into the big tournaments where every single life point matters, well, guess what? They get 1 less life point to start the game off with. So that can add up over time. Okay, Smoker, I think, will probably stay somewhere in the middle of the competitive can-win conversation. I think it's just a good deck still, but it doesn't have anything really incredible going for it. But we'll have to see how the meta shapes up. Maybe it becomes a very strong counter pick. Blue-Black Rebecca, we talked about this with Usopp. I think this card's going to, I think this leader's actually going to get pretty decent again. Red-Black Sabo is always going to be in the conversation, I think, in the competitive and can-win category, because any good red rush cards that come out, it has access to. Any good black removal cards it will have access to, and then it has a way to protect characters. So any time that a deck like Lucci or Blackbeard gets strong, where it starts removing, KOing characters, it can protect them. So it is just a nice like counter pick, but I am going to move it way down to the bottom of the competitive can-win zone, especially going into OP09. Or excuse me, going into OP10. Pudding, this has the same idea as Katakuri, but it has 1 life less. So even though it can ramp, I'll actually put it, no, we'll leave it right where it's at. It can ramp to Tinlin. So if yellow does start taking off in the format, all of a sudden Purple, Yellow, Pudding, and Katakuri, I think, start, really licking their chops like, okay, let's go. Because their matchup, because of what Tinlin does in a yellow matchup, it just gives them such an incredible advantage. Next up is Green, Yellow, Yamato. This leader is still just an absolute nuisance. But here's the thing, guys. I am going to drop it all the way down to the competitive can-winning category because I think things are changing, right? I don't think the double strike is as relevant as it once was, and not that it's bad, it's just not the same. And I don't think I don't think this leader has gotten enough direct support in a while now, and it's just kind of just floating on how strong yellow has gotten over time. Maybe I don't know, maybe not. You guys tell me what y'all think. Is there like a new build coming out for it? You guys tell me. Okay, the Zoro and Red Green Trafalgar Law, I'm going to wrap them up in the same idea here. I think Red Green Trafalgar Law has one of, don't take this the wrong way, guys. I know people get upset when people make statements like this, but I think Red Green Trafalgar Law has one of the most broken leader effects ever printed. I'm not saying it is the most broken. I didn't say that, but I think it has one of the most broken leader effects ever printed. Excuse me. You are for 2 Dawn cheating out a 5 cost, which cheats out a 3 cost, pulling cards back to your hand in the process, getting to recycle on play effects. I'm not saying it doesn't require skill, by the way. Please do not misunderstand me. But because of how strong this effect is, I do think that this card is going to be staying in the competitive can-win category for a while now. It just can, right? And the more people that put pressure on the decks like Lucci or Blackbeard to keep out like the high removal decks from the format, well, if you start removing the high removal decks from the format, then all of a sudden Red-Green Law is just going to eat. Same thing with Zoro. Zoro's just going to flood the board and run people over. Purple-Black Luffy, this just needs to be figured out. I think we're still waiting for the best build for this. Same, Buggy, I think, just needs more help. I'm going to push Buggy down to the end, down here at the end of competitive can-win. Green Purple Dofi, I think it's getting some really strong cards coming out in OP10, and I think this leader can actually do some decent stuff. I already kind of mentioned about Green Yellow Arlong. Arlong, I think, will just be more and more aggressive, and it will actually have a top end now that contributes to its game plan of just trashing your opponent's life. So I think Green Yellow Arlong will actually get a little bit of a benefit from OP10. Boa, I've kind of already talked about this. I just don't think it's getting enough. Purple Yellow Croc, like I said, I think is actually going to be a menace. I'm going to move him slightly above Boa. I think Purple Yellow Crocodile in OP10 will be ugly, guys. I think it's going to get ugly in a good way. If you're a Purple Yellow Croc fan. Okay, that's it, guys. I'm not going to go over too much more in the anything under this category. I think this is going to be the leaders that kind of run away with it. If I missed one, you guys tell me what y'all think. Let's just please be respectful. Please, let's not do any. Whoa! Almost forgot Foxy. That would have been an issue. I know a lot of people are going to go crazy about that. I do think Foxy is kind of in that competitive can win category, but does he actually reach the very top of it, or like does he actually break his way into that tier? I don't know. I'm going to leave him at the top of needs work, has potential. All right, that's about it, guys. Let me just go over. I'm just going to glance over these one more time. And some of these just need to prove themselves. These might be wrong because I just need to see how they do. Like, for all we know, Caesar Clown or Smoker might run away with the format. We'll have to see. Unlikely, but possible. Sugar, Lim, Nico Robin. Nico Robin might move up a little bit with some of these new trigger cards entering the game. And she's a banished leader. I'll at least push her to the top of needs work, has potential next to Foxy. Okay. And I think that's about all that I want to move around, guys. I'm just going to glance through one more time. I know there's a lot of Ace fans out there that are really mad. I'll at least move Blue Yellow Ace up to the top of, like, right around here. Yeah, around that category there. Around that placement there. Calgara, I don't know, guys. I think, excuse me. We'll have to see. Maybe Calgara does move up. Maybe Hody Jones, if he got some support, I think he could be so good. Calgara as well. Same thing with Carrot. Like, this is like the what happened category. Like, why didn't we, if they could print more support for these three leaders right here, actually I'll even say four, for Ace, Carrot, Calgara, and Hody, if these could get like some legit support, those would probably be some pretty strong leaders. Okay. I know a lot of people are saying that Garp is like really deep in the conversation. I'll at least move him up. That's not Garp. I'll at least move him up to like around here somewhere. I just don't think Garp's quite there yet. Yellow Lin will probably go up, like I said, if things slow down enough, because it has access to 10 Lin. There is now going to be a new even curve, guys, that is going to be disgusting in OP10. Who knows if they'll actually use it or not, but it has a lot of potential where you just go Basil Hawkins, Nico Robin, Eustace Kid, 10 Lin. Any deck that can pull that off is looking good. It's looking like they're going to win the game. That's what it looks like. So we'll have to see what happens, though. Purple Kaido, Purple Black King, they need to show themselves more, or they need to prove themselves more. Red Green, Luffy, like I said, I do think this has some potential with that new Zero deck. Just trying to adjust it a little bit. Zonji will move up as well because he has Rush. Whitebeard because he's Whitebeard. Okay, he always has some potential being a 6 life, 6,000 power leader. Vivi's there. Okay, that's about it, guys. I know some people might get upset with some of these rankings. I tried to be as fair as I could. I just think that going forward, these top ones here are definitely going to be decks to look out for and to maybe start building around. If you're trying to start to build decks now, I would start looking up deck lists with these leaders up here and try to start messing around with that now to make sure you get cards before they get too expensive and stuff like that. Is there anything else I want to do on here? Kinemon would be so good if he had more support. Yeah, that's about it, guys. I think I'm pretty happy where it is. I think a lot of decks are getting, as more and more cards are printed, I think more and more cards are, more and more leaders are getting more potential. Okay, let's go ahead and finish off. We have a game here of I'm stuttering like crazy right now, guys. Zonji, green blue Zonji versus PLuffy. Okay, now here we go. So the volume is off. The speed is already on 2x, and we're good to go, guys. Here we go. So I've got a game here for y'all. What better way to end off the video? Wait, did I adjust my camera? Let me adjust it a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I have a game here for y'all of Green Blue Zonji that is running the film version, and I think it's actually quite good, guys. I think it's actually a pretty solid list. So I play out the new one cost. I think that's an OP09 card, or actually it might be OP08. That Supernova Straw Hat Zoro card. It says when attacking, if you have 3 or more characters, he gets plus 2,000 power, and that's not a once per turn effect. So I play out the Nami there. I'm going to draw I think it was a Brook or something, and yeah, guys, Nami, that's not a once per turn either, and it's an on play and when attacking. The card's absolutely incredible in Zonji. Okay, so some of these turns take me a while to figure out because I'm trying to play this really optimally against a pretty good matchup here, like a really good leader, Purple Luffy. Okay, let's see what happens here. So it looks like we're going to swing for 5, use the effect to draw a card. We get a 2k counter, and you might be thinking like, okay, well now you're going to lose that card, right? We'll see. We'll see about that, right? I have to do a little bit of math here. I need to do this exactly the right way, and let's see what happens. So I'm going to attach a Dawn, I believe, to the Zoro here. Yep. Again, notice how much time I'm putting into this play, guys. I'm like, wait a minute. How do I do this where I can actually get the effect, save this guy, restand this guy, and do this, that, and the other? So I'm like, okay, swing for 5. Okay. And now I can pull back the Nami and stand the Zoro. Because you can't pull back a character that costs less than 2, like 1 or less. It has to be a 2 or less character that you pull back. But we swing in. We're getting value. He's going to swing for 7, probably into the Zoro. Yeah, that'd be very smart. Get rid of that Zoro because that card will start getting value. They draw a card from that. They're going to swing for 7 into me. And I don't really want to take too much damage because, guys, I get spoiled playing all these yellow decks that can gain life. Zonji can't. Green-blue Zonji cannot gain life. Okay, so 8 Dawn turn here. What are we going to do? In order to use that effect, I do have to attach a Dawn. But do I even want to swing with that card yet becomes the question. I'm going to swing for 6 into face. See if he wants to give me a card or give me life. Gives me a 2K counter. We'll take it. We'll play out the Tinlin, play out the Brook, play out the Nami. And now, all of a sudden, my board is absolutely menacing, right? That board is stacked. For those who are not aware, there was Zonji right there. Let me go back real quick, and we'll pause on Zonji. I'll try to. There it is. So this Zonji right here, guys, it's a 2-cost 3,000 power card with no counter. So you know it better be good if it has no counter. Dawn ×1 when attacking. If you have 5 or less cards in your hand, this character gains plus 2,000 power until the start of your next turn. So this card can go crazy, guys, and that is not a once per turn effect. And you guys know I can stand stuff up with Zonji, or excuse me, yeah, with Green Blue Zonji, the leader, ST12 Zonji. So they're going to swing for 8 here. I actually have a block and 2K counter ready for them. So I block and 2K counter. Now I'm daring him. Yeah, go ahead and swing 9 into it. That's fine. I'll give you a 2K, 1K. I've already got it. So I'm down to 1 card in hand. I draw a card for the turn. But watch this, guys. This might... So remember, I have 2 cards in hand right now. We're going to swing for 6 at face. They gave me a 2K counter. Now we're going to swing in probably for 6 more with the Nami. Let's see what happens here. I got to do this just right. Swing for 7 with Brook. Okay, that's fine. Okay. This turn's far from over, right, guys? This turn is far from over. So now we're going to swing for 6 with Nami. I'm going to draw a card with her effect. We'll grab a 2K counter. We're up to 3 cards now. Okay. They 2K counter out. Okay. Well, we're still not done yet. So now we're going to go for the board. Now that they have 3 cards in hand, we're going to swing for 8 into 6 here into that guy. Standing that card. We have 4 cards in hand. Okay. We just did all that. We have 4 cards in hand, by the way, guys. They give me the blocker. Now we're going to go 8 more into the Zonji because I still have 5 or less cards in hand. He gives me the blocker, and now I'm going to go 9 into the Zonji. He gives me a 2K to get out of it, and I'm okay with that. He just lost every card in his hand. I went up 4 cards in hand, or I went up 2 cards in hand with all of those attacks afterwards. He smashes into my card there. It's gone into my Brook. He swings at life there. He's going to push a card back, and again, it looks like, okay, well, I'm not out of it yet, right? Like, this game's not over yet. Or is it? This guy's definitely in trouble. We'll swing 7 into 6. I dare him to counter out because then I'll just take it afterwards. And now I have to do a little bit of math here. I have to do a little bit of work. Unfortunately, you know, this deck is pretty tough to pilot. I'm not going to lie, guys. To play it at the highest level, there's so much going on. Watch what I have to do here. I'm literally just trying to figure out how I'm supposed to win this game. How am I supposed to get the cards out? And notice this, guys. I'm up to 6 cards in hand. Like, after last turn, I had 2 cards in hand. I'm up to 6 now. I play out the Nami. I'm going to get those cards back. I'm going to swing for 6. I'm going to pull the Nami back, straighten my Luffy. And now I'm up to 7 cards in hand. And now I have to decide what I want to do. We're going to swing for 8. We'll play out this Zoro. And guys, what is he going to do now? If he plays out, pause. So in his mind, he just gave up for there was no way to get out of this. He has a Franosuke that can rush. But guys, I have 1, 2, 3, plus 4. I have 7,000 counter in hand with 3 life. And I have the 7K body on the board. And no matter what he plays next turn, it doesn't matter. If he plays out any blocker that costs 6 or less, I will run it over with that Zoro. That Zoro on the board, the 4 cost 6K, that one has a Dawn ×1 when attacking to rest a character that costs 6 or less. So I can attack over any blocker he plays this turn, and I'm going to have all of these attacks coming in. And not to mention, he still has to worry about the Luffy on the board. He has to swing 9 into that Luffy with his Lin, and I'm going to 2K 1K to get out of that. So it's such a nightmare situation for them. Really good stuff. All right, let's look at the deck list real quick, and we'll wrap this video up. Yeah, this one ran a little bit long. Okay, here it is, guys. This is the deck list that I was running Big fan of this list. I think it was a lot of fun. Of course, it's going to struggle. Everyone's going to say, but yeah, but how does it do in Luchi? It's going to struggle. It's going to struggle in Luchi. I don't know what to tell you. But at the same time, it's still a lot of fun to run. I'm not saying it's the most competitive deck list out there, but it is an absolute blast to run. All right, I'm done, guys. That's enough. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. Oh, yeah, let me bring up the playmat page. Big shout out to everybody who supports the channel, guys. For people who are watching, subscribing, liking, viewing, commenting, any of that stuff, thank you guys so much for doing that. It really helps out the channel. Big shout out to all the VV Pirates playmat supporters, and of course the VV Pirates patrons. Thank you guys so much. I hope y'all enjoyed. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please do not hesitate to put them in the comment section below. All right, till next time, guys. Peace.